Hello everyone, welcome back to the Security Compliance webinar for MNCs in China Episode 2. This is Sunny from Alibaba Cloud Security Compliance. After sharing some insights in the latest security compliance trend and the key regulatory focuses, let's have a deep dive session in the Mlps 2.0, which considered as the key focuses required under CSL for the classified protection of the cybersecurity. And I will also introduce Alibaba Cloud solutions in helping you to comply with it. Here is the agenda for today. Firstly, I will share some insights in the Mlps for you to understand what it is based on our past experience in complying with it. And then I will share you some common challenges that you may face in your China business, especially for those with new business exposures in China. After that, I will introduce how Alibaba Cloud solutions can help you to tackle those challenges in complying with it and ease your security compliance burden. Lastly, here are some key takeaways for you from this episode. Then let's move on and have the first session start from the introduction of the Mlps 2.0. The Mlps 2.0 standard have been in effect since December 1st last year, 2019. Actually, it's not a brand new standard. It just evolved from the classified protection of the information system issued 11 years ago. Having mentioned in last episode, in China Cybersecurity Law, Article 21, it is clearly required the network operator to protect the system or network or apps or platform they use, they operate, they own, or administrated under the protection by using a classified protection methodology. The classified protection here refers to the design, implementation, and inspection of the multi-level protection scheme that we usually call as Mlps 2.0 for short overseas. As such, it makes the implementation and inspection of the Mlps in China with the law enforcement and governed by the Cybersecurity Supervisory Division under the Public Security Bureau. No or insufficient implementation of the Mlps will be considered as breach of the law. The implementation status would be inspected by the Supervisory Division on a sample basis periodically. The major industry under the inspection are the key industries in China with a relatively greater impact on the national security, society stability, and public interest. That means the scope here is more or less similar as the scope of CII, but broader. The implementation status will be inspected by using a method including the interview of the key personnel, review of the evaluation report, pen test, and also on-site inspection, etc. The areas of the inspection include 6 months of the retention of the necessary logs, website filling endorsement, implementation of the security measures such as Mlps requirements in the baseline requirements that we'll mention the details later. Considering the strict governance mechanism and the severe non-compliance results, or the companies in China pay great attention and great effort in complying with what Mlps required. Having seen the structure presented on this slide, we can feel that what makes Mlps complex is not a single standard or a policy requirement. Instead, it is a holistic system with a comprehensive end-to-end process. Under Mlps, there is a key concept called the protection object, which can be a system, a network, or a group of them to deliver certain services. That means under Mlps, firstly, you need to identify an object to be protected or evaluated, then to determine the classification level of this object. With the level of the classification, of this object, the protection mechanisms and measures shall be designed and implemented with a reference to the requirements for the corresponding level. And the evaluation shall be conducted accordingly to inspect the protection effectiveness of this object according to the standard required for this classified level. As such, the standard for the MLPS also consists of 3 parts, namely classification, implementation, and evaluation, which are supported by a bunch of national standards, which start from the GB here. Among these standards, there is one called Baseline for Classified Protection of the Cybersecurity, which is with a bold text at the bottom of this slide, which plays a fundamental role for the entire system. Under the big MLPS umbrella, here summarize the focuses of the key components. Firstly, the classification. There are a total of 5 levels given in the classification guide with a definition and corresponding evaluation and inspection requirements. The level is defined according to the significance of the identified object and impact to the national security, society stability, and public interest in case of any incident or suspension of the operation. The baseline standard here, as we mentioned just now in last slide, serves as a basic requirements for each corresponding level. It gives the detailed requirements on the practical mechanism and measures. It is widely used as a fundamental guide for each stage throughout the whole process, such as design, implementation, and evaluation, as we mentioned just now. The design guide and implementation guide gives general requirements and guidelines on the design and evaluation process respectively. The design document guides you how you can structure the MLPS framework and security establishment projects, and the evaluation document guides you how to evaluate your identified objects. The MLPS was firstly introduced in 2008 and then further updated to version 2, what we call as MLPS 2.0 in 2019. Compared to the version 1 issued 11 years ago, the MLPS 2.0 has been significantly changed. We can see a clear message passed from the major changes shown on this slide that the governance scope has been extremely broadened. The information system in the title of the scheme has been replaced by the cybersecurity. It indicates that the governance scope has been broadened and the protection object has been changed from the traditional information system to include more items such as the network, the APPs, or other emerging technologies. On top of this, we see that there are also 5 emerging technologies clearly identified and included in the MLPS 2.0, namely industrial control system, cloud platform, IoT, mobile communication, and big data platform. Requirement-wise, the baseline standard has been extended from the general requirements to include the additional set of requirements as extension. That is over the 5 emerging technologies as we mentioned just now. I will further compare the detail of the changes in the baseline standard, which is the most important standard, later on after this overview. The work items have also been updated to include more from the risk and contingency management perspective, such as risk assessment, security surveillance, early warning, notification, and emergency response. After getting an idea on the overall changes, let's take a look on the major changes in the baseline standard, which is the most critical one as we mentioned just now. 2 grand new items are added in the MLPS 2.0, which are highlighted as red here. One is the new security domain added in MLPS 2.0 called the Security Management Center. Under MLPS 2.0, a security management center is required to centrally control and monitor the security of the objects and surrounding networks. Together with a revised security communication network, area boundary, and computing environment, such mechanism is called as one center with 3 layers of defense. The other change is a set of additional requirements as an extension on emerging technologies. We can understand the new baseline on the right-hand side from 2 dimensions. The horizontal ones are the requirements categorized by security domains. And the domains can further be categorized into 2 tabs. One is a technical requirements and the other is a management requirement. The vertical ones are the requirements categorized into general requirements as a base and additional requirements as an extension on each of the 5 emerging technologies. Although we can see that most of the security domains in MLPS first version can be mapped to the new version, but the detailed requirements had been significantly changed and updated in a more comprehensive, stringent way. And also the technical standards in the version 2 of the MLPS has also been higher than the first version. After we understand the key concept and major changes in MLPS 2.0, let's take a look at the evaluation process of the MLPS. The evaluation process starts from the classification to identify the protection object and determine the level of this object with reference to the classification guide. Then file the determined level of the identified objects with the local security supervisory division of the PCSB. And then design and implementation of the security mechanism, including both technical and managerial control required for each corresponding level with reference to the baseline requirements. After that, you shall have the mechanisms assessed and rectify the gaps identified, if any. For the objects classified as level 3 or above, this evaluation process is not a one-off item. It's actually required to be conducted on an annual basis. Having had the evaluation well planned, prepared, the external evaluation process shall be conducted with the result compiled. If there is any gap identified, they shall be rectified and have the remediation result to be evaluated again. The final evaluation result shall be endorsed, and authority inspection would be conducted regularly over the implementation, operation, and evaluation compliance, as we mentioned in the first slide. There are 2 things that I'd like to emphasize here. The first one is that MLPS is not a one-off process. It is actually an ongoing process, and I will emphasize it again in the common question section. And also, there is another reminder that under MLPS 2.0, it is required to have the evaluation and review by industry expert group in the classification phase. As a summary of the MLPS development, we can see that the whole scheme evolves from the traditional focuses on the information system to the cybersecurity. And the traditional protection with a passive defense system and mechanism has been changed to a more active defense requirements and also with a broader protection scope. On top of this, the threat intelligence and trust techniques are promoted to manage the cybersecurity in a more dynamic way. The adoption of the trust techniques has also been repetitively required under MLPS 2.0 baseline requirements. The policies and evaluation system of the MLPS also evolves to include more detailed and comprehensive supervisory standards, especially on the new technology emerged this year, such as cloud computing, IoT, and big data. What's more, the security system is advocated to be established and managed in an active and dynamic way, with from risk perspective, with more preventive controls and measures. Last but not least, to facilitate the implementation of the technical cybersecurity requirements, more corresponding legislation, national standards, guidelines have been enacted, such as those over the cryptography and encryption. All this have emphasized the importance of the cybersecurity in China and the local security techniques protection to manage and maintain the national security, society stability, and public interest. And also, it emphasized that these perspectives shall be maintained in a sustainable, active, and developing way. After we understand what MLPS is, let's take a look at the key challenges that may be faced by your business in complying with MLPS 2.0. The MLPS classification and evaluation process is a bit long for the MNCs, especially when all the standards are presented in Chinese only. If there is no mapping between your headquarter or regional cadre security standards, it is hard to find a gap between your current existing system to the what required under MLPS 2.0. And also, annual evaluation process is a bit complex, especially when it is required for those key systems located in China. In the security design implementation, you shall always consider the principle of one center with multiple layers of defense mechanisms and fast emergency response mechanisms. The corresponding measures shall be established as an integrated part of your architecture and security system. Besides, you need to consider how to manage the identity and access on a single platform with a lock retained for over 6 months, as what required under China's cybersecurity law. Lastly, the word trusted appears repeatedly in MLPS 2.0 under the section of the secure communication network, secure boundary, and secure computing environment. As such, it requires you to consider how to set a trusted environment from the infrastructure all the way through to the application. Here summarize some common misconceptions in MLPS 2.0 based on our past interactions with MNCs. Firstly, lots of MNCs consider that it is not necessary to have the outsourcing system or platform to be evaluated separately. Actually, it's not 100% correct, considering the ultimate accountability and responsibility of the cybersecurity protection. Under the shared responsibility model, the outsourcing service provider, for example, the Alibaba Cloud, is responsible for the security compliance of the platform and infrastructure underneath your applications and data. The application and the data placed on Alibaba Cloud as well as a virtual network is still responsible by the owner of this application. That means cloud customers in this case. Secondly, some network operator and MNCs try to classify the identified protection object in a lower grade than it should be. Actually, it's totally wrong, because if you classify it with a lower grade, it may cause the insufficient protection. And the authority inspection will also be conducted, including the inspection of the classification level as well as the protection mechanism. Besides, if there is any incident or security breach due to the insufficient protection, it will cause you into trouble. Because the breach of the MLPS protection implementation will be considered as breach of the law, which will lead you into severe penalty results. The third one, some MNCs consider the MLPS evaluation as a one-off exercise, as I mentioned just now in the evaluation process introduction. Actually, it's definitely not a one-off process. It is an ongoing, continuous work. It requires continuous monitoring, optimization of your whole system on an ongoing basis. And the evaluation is required to be conducted regularly, especially for those with level 3 or above. Such evaluation is required to be conducted on an annual basis. We understand your pain points. Alibaba Cloud, as the largest cloud service provider in China, we empower our customers with our own experience in complying with it. On top of it, we also offer the security capabilities and the products and solutions, as well as the services for our customers to leverage to build their own security compliance system in China to comply with MLPS 2.0. Firstly, let's have a look why cloud native compliance is important to you. Compared to traditional on-premise deployment model, the on-cloud deployment model follows a shared responsibility model. As such, the security compliance workload under the on-cloud deployment model has been significantly reduced as a result of the shared security compliance responsibility model. You can enjoy a secure, stable, compliant cloud infrastructure offered by Alibaba Cloud. Meanwhile, leverage the product security features and security products to build your own security architecture on cloud to protect your applications and data hosted on cloud. Under the shared responsibility model on cloud, you will not only enjoy the secured compliant platform, but also leverage the MLPS evaluation results. You can use the evaluation result of the cloud platform as an evaluation result for the infrastructure layer. For example, if you use S model product in China, you only need to take care of the objects deployed on cloud for your own MLPS evaluation. Under the S model, your workload in complying with MLPS can be reduced to around 62% of the original ones. And if you use the SAS model, the workload can even be reduced to only 1/3 of the original ones. In this way, the compliance workload can be shifted partially to the cloud service provider. And then let me briefly introduce how Alibaba Cloud can security capabilities and our own compliance can help you and use as a base. Alibaba Cloud, as a pioneer in MLPS compliance, we are the first cloud service provider to get an excellent MLPS evaluation result for both our public cloud and financial cloud, which are classified at level 3 and level 4 respectively. Under the shared security compliance model, on top of Alibaba Cloud's own compliance, our customers can also leverage the security capabilities of the cloud platform to fulfill your own security compliance requirements. From this overview, we can see the security architecture offered by Alibaba Cloud follows a one center with multiple layers of defense mechanisms required under MLPS. The security center can be used to centrally control and monitor the on-cloud resources to timely detect and respond to the threats and attacks. To provide a cloud platform trusted, controllable, and manageable, the security mechanisms and measures have been designed and embedded in the cloud platform. When we say trusted, controllable, and manageable, we mean that cloud platform is trusted, controllable, and manageable by you, our customer, to protect your applications and data hosted on cloud. Such secure environment is supported by the hardware-based trust techniques, all-rounded cyber defense and monitoring mechanisms, robust infrastructure on our Apple server operating system, and end-to-end encryption capabilities. In the next few slides, I will introduce some of these key capabilities in details. You can also enjoy the secure and trusted environment offered by Alibaba Cloud as a cloud-native feature. When we say trusted, we mean the process, mechanisms, and infrastructure underneath your application and data are trusted. The trusted environment is ensured by the secure hardware and firmware It measures and validates against the firmwares and drivers underneath your applications and running on top of the hardware within our infrastructure. On top of that, we use TPM 2.0 for the secure measurement for the infrastructure environment. One layer above, we use the SGX, which is a CPU-based encryption module to provide the security computing environment. What's more, you can use the Security Center as a SOC for central security management to fulfill the one center requirements required under MLPS 2.0. The Security Center can be used for threats prevention, detection, investigation, and response with proactive defense mechanism. When we say proactive defense, we mean that whenever it detects any anomalies, it will respond based on the rules trained through the machine learning and deep learning techniques. With such a control center, you have the capabilities to protect the resources with all-rounded way. The Security Center is demonstrated its robust security capabilities by successfully identifying and fixing the 8.33 million high-risk vulnerabilities for our cloud customers and launched 79 fast response to the emergency threats. It also protects over 1 million enterprises in China from the vulnerabilities and threats. As such, without heavy investment in the security professional, you can still enjoy the security services in China, and we establish your own active protection model. To ensure your data security, it is critical to have end-to-end encryption capabilities. Alibaba Cloud provides you the capability to protect your data throughout the transmission, computing, and storage. You have the secured VPN and gateway supported by HTTPS protocol and to provide the encrypted channel for data in transmission. We have the SGX encryption computing techniques to provide your data in computing. And we also support the BYOK to protect your data at rest. Your key can be stored and managed through the KMS backed with a hardware encryption module. To achieve the MLPS compliance, the management and monitor of the account and access is also very key. It is a new security boundary nowadays. So it is essential to have the accounts, authentications, and authorizations managed on the single platform. The companies, especially for those with a group of entities or subsidiaries, are facing on the common challenges on this. But our customers can achieve this by using a single platform IDaaS service offered by Alibaba Cloud to manage multiple identities and authentications in different scenarios for both internal employees and external parties. The fine-grained access to resources is supported by RAM. I will introduce in the next slide. What's more, with a unified identity management platform, IDaaS brings you additional value through the business insight from the analyzing the accounts and access information. It provides you the capability to achieve the precision marketing decision. To manage the fine-grained access to achieve the least privileged access management, our customers can rely on the resources access management to control the access of each single resources from users, applications, and cloud products perspective. Any operational access always requires authorization from the resources owner. The granular access can be grouped into a role to manage the authorization with the different policies and groups to achieve the different sensitivity needs. On top of Alibaba Cloud security products and security capabilities, we also provide our customers a one-stop MLPS 2.0 compliance services to facilitate your MLPS compliance journey. Our security professionals with rich experience in MLPS 2.0 will deeply involved in the whole process, from the classification to evaluation, and also provide you with advice on the security rectifications if there is any gap identified. In the evaluation phase, our security professional will link you up with external agencies in the whole evaluation process to complete an evaluation and have your evaluation report endorsed. Here summarized the Alibaba Cloud compliance solutions. Alibaba Cloud security products, services, and solutions, together with security offerings offered by our eco partners, empower our customers' own security compliance in China. Before the end of this episode, here are some key takeaways. Firstly, let's have a look on the illustrative example for Mlps 2.0 Level 3 compliant architecture on Alibaba Cloud. Under a typical S model, the physical environment is managed by Alibaba Cloud to provide you a secured and Mlps compliant data center environment. The data center is protected by the required physical controls with monitoring mechanisms to ensure the operating effectiveness of the data center control. On top of the physical environment and cloud platform, you can also leverage our compliant network and encrypted channel to build your own communication network. You can also achieve to manage the bandwidth with flexibilities to deal with the peak business needs economically. Besides, you can also leverage the security products such as WAF, Cloud Firewall, Anti-DDoS to protect the boundary security, as well as the advanced encrypted computing and trust techniques to achieve a trust computing environment to ensure the security of the computing environment. You can also leverage the log service offered by Alibaba Cloud to achieve the minimum log retention period. All this together with a security center, you can achieve the one center with 3 layers of defense, compliance easily and economically. Before the end of this episode, let's take a look on the Alibaba Cloud's guide to our customers. Alibaba Cloud has issued a security compliance white paper for Mlps 2.0 baseline standard. It serves as a guide for our customers to understand the compliance requirements outlined under the baseline requirement, which is the most critical standard under the Mlps 2.0. You can also understand how Alibaba Cloud security products and product security features can be leveraged in your own security compliance. In this white paper, we illustrate the requirements for Level 3 as an example and mapped our capabilities and offerings to the corresponding standards. This white paper is designed to help our customers to establish your own security compliance system that complies with Mlps 2.0. Okay, that's the end of this episode. For more information, feel free to visit the security compliance portal on China Gateway of Alibaba.com.